All right, guys, welcome back to our coverage here of the Regional Qualifier Southeast Asian region. Looks like we caught you snacking right there, Luminous.
Trying to stay healthy. Eat some
good.
mandarin.
I feel like every time I'm at these hubs, I eat unhealthy. You're an inspiration.
I mean, they have it in the bag. They have bananas, strawberries.
I just see the Flaming Hot Cheetos
Okay.
and the Monster.
That's
Yeah,
cool too.
speaking of which, I'm going to get a tasty beverage.
Oh, jeez.
Monster
What a
Energy.
saw.
Yeah?
I'm repping the water.
Water
Stay
here,
hydrated.
yeah.
I'm on the water too. It looks like a coffee mug, but it's just water. Staying hydrated. You guys out there, stay hydrated.
This is water, I promise.
Definitely.
Anyways, we got our next game going to be coming up here, and Lumi, you were really mentioning, technically I don't even know if you're supposed to be casting this match, but you just made a point. You're like, I want to cast this game.
I walked in and be
he
like, I'm
swindled
casting
me.
this game.
He's like, oh, we want to cast the next game, and I'm like, I don't really mind. He's like, all right, I'm ready to cast the game. I was like, all right, fine. And then he's like, I was like, which match is next? And he told me, I'm like, oh,
Well,
damn, I feel
that's
swindled.
Of course, we're talking about Faceless versus Clutch Gamers here. This definitely has to be one of the better ones. In fact, for me personally, now I chose TNC to be first, but I chose actually Clutch to finish second and Faceless to finish third for my predictions right there. So again, clearly though, these are two very good teams in Southeast Asia. And Lumi, you're kind of stressing how Clutch has definitely proven that they can play against Southeast Asian teams, especially in qualifiers. So do you think that they're going to fare well here?
Well, that was the last patch. Like to me,
Okay.
they seemed like they figured out the patch, and then as the patch rotated, they went to Manila Master and got absolutely dumpstered by like every team there. So my question is, have they figured out this patch?
Yeah.
It's been like a month and a half since, but I'm not sure if that's enough time. But we'll see. This is the true testing ground, right?
Lyrical, Faceless looked pretty good right there. So you got Clutch with a chance here.
I think that they do. We were actually talking about this on the ride over when we were coming and like saying, have they developed another style? Because the style that they played in the last qualifiers, I don't think is as viable as it was before. Maybe you still can't get away with like a lot of fighting in the mid game and but I feel like you need to have more emphasis on dominating the lane. So I think that they can, but I want to see something new from them in the draft, not just like the Invoker shenanigans and like big team fightalties. Like they need to have more emphasis on lane winning, I think.
What is your take on Clutch, Gots?
They're a good team. I worry they may be kind of past that honeymoon phase where you kind of come together, you start getting successful, and then maintaining those results is always the tricky thing. They qualified for a lot of lands in like a small period of time. Went to all those lands, didn't like stand out any of them in major ways. They had like some where they maybe showed up, played all right, others where they just kind of got knocked out very quickly.
Or they couldn't even go to.
Yeah, they didn't
Summit.
go to in our case. So their team, I'm kind of curious, like I wonder what they got from all that experience playing those international lands. They at least got to scrim with those teams. They had a couple of matches, like Epicenter. They played a full round robin group stage, so they got I think 4 best-of-3s in. So at least got good match play against different teams, but I don't know how much that helps against SEA opponents.
Both these teams are 1-0 to start things off here. So Clutch Gamers actually defeated Skate Masters. That's right,
Yeah,
the Champions Cup
Juggernauts.
qualified team.
Got him.
Yeah.
The only Champions Cup participant. Skate Masters, they're friends of mine. I know a lot of them. They're Aussie players. They're good guys, but I think they're maybe a bit out of their depth in this qualifier. So
Hey, it's fun.
it's a great chance. I think they're all very skilled players. They're all like 6K, 7K MMR players. Definitely up there. They may cause an upset or two. I hope they play some good Dota. I saw like the kill score was at least not like completely one-sided in that game, so they looked like they played all right.
As we saw from the famous match of Filler Pig versus KBU, MMR is not exactly the biggest determination factor for whether you win or lose. So
Got him.
That's
don't
very
let
true.
MMR determine who you are. So
Are they playing from Australia?
I believe so.
Is
I
that
want
a
to say.
big ping issue?
Yeah, it's not the best ping. It's like 100, I mean, depending where you
Okay,
are.
that's
West Coast, it's not too bad, but
Okay.
most people are East Coast, Melbourne, Sydney, and it's like 150. So honestly, I think they're just there to have fun. They probably just like, sweet, we qualified through Champions Cup. Let's sign up. Sweet, we're in TI regionals. It's like, why not? I don't think they were trying to abuse the system. I don't think they realistically think they're going to qualify for TI. I think they're just like, this is fun. They
Totally.
they,
Make
they
the
play
best of it,
they
yeah.
play like local Australian tournaments. There's a lot of just like small online stuff there. They play all those. I think they just figured like, screw it. But why not play against Fnatic, Clutch Gamers, Faceless?
What if they win it all? That would be amazing. What a story.
They're not going to.
They're not going.
We'll
You're
move
right.
on.
Ricky is just. I know that
Honest.
Scant, which is Happy Feet's coach, was not too happy about Skate Masters.
He was not too happy
getting
about the format, not the
Yeah, yeah.
team specifically, I'd say.
No, I think he tweeted as like, how did this team get the slot?
Well, the whole Champions Cup in the first place. I mean, I can see why people may not be the biggest fan because there's two sides to it, right? There's the one side that it gives teams like that an opportunity that would never have thought they had an opportunity to play against some really good teams in a regional qualifiers for something really big. But then you could argue, well, maybe there is that other deserving team that maybe would be better fitted and overall would do better as a result and just better for the competition. So I definitely see both sides, but I like it. I like the idea that we have a team that gets a new experience, gets something fun out of it.
I like Champions Cup as an idea. I think just the way it was executed, like it was only you have to win Champions Cup like it was from before Kiev Major, and then you had to have not changed your roster or something. So it was like very few teams were eligible.
I mean, what a great story it is, though, for Skate Masters. The fact that that's a team that did
the
it.
fact
No,
they
no,
get
let's
to
be
go
honest,
and
though.
get something too.
I love
They
their
get
name,
to go
by
and
the
like
way.
actually play
Yeah.
in a big competition.
That's cool.
That's it sort of gives you another side to it.
And then you have teams like Alliance that join the Championships Cup, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
that's awkward.
That was
That's
weird
not
because it was
really-
like it felt like a way for them to bypass the fact they changed
Yeah.
their roster and were meant to play in opens.
So they
Everyone's
didn't
like,
have to play in opens.
yeah. I mean, I think they're a team that you want to see in regionals, so from that point of view, I'm okay with it. But I felt like it was a weird way to bypass.
It's not a
the system.
perfect system. I think that's very obvious.
Yeah.
But it's a great format. I think we all agree with that. We're excited for it. And in fact, we got this game ready to go here into the draft. And as I'm looking over my shoulder, we already got a bristleback. I know, shocker to everyone.
a
First pick coming out.
Necrophos ban.
They don't want to deal with
Got
it.
them
statement there.
info.
It's because of the bristleback, right? Like,
Well, I mean, they could have banned Bristle after the Necro ban. It's not like your ban goes instantly into your pick.
10 seconds remaining.
When you ban
This
something, the other
to
team
me
gets to ban.
says Scrim, right? Like they play against
Yeah,
them
yeah.
Scrim. There's a Necro that they can't deal with. I mean, we've seen
good
Necro a
chance.
couple times already.
Reserve time.
Well, I
we saw once, I want to say, maybe not one of the early
I saw on the
matches.
fun stream, and let me tell you, that Reaper Scythe was getting some kids.
Who was that? Was that Pixel? We had Pixel playing it earlier in our show match of
did
sorts.
he go
so
Battle
they're-
Fury? That's what
No,
it was.
no. He used a scythe a little early sometimes, but he was trying, and that's what counts now.
He's got the cosmetic.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
You just
Yeah.
want to see that cosmetic all the time.
Yeah.
Man.
right. Grand when I walked in today, Grand was complaining. He's like, we lost because we got picks on carry. I'm like, okay, I can see that.
I think if you have picks on your team,
It's
that's
a
the
little
best role to
harsh.
put him on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just pick him CM and put him on a hard 7, you know?
They tried that
No,
the
no,
first
no,
game.
Buy
It didn't
wards.
work.
Okay.
Well, they had Toby on carry that game, which is
Yeah.
Well, that's also
no bad. That's worse. That's worse.
Let's
than
talk
those.
about actual competitive pro players here.
This is the
Good
combo.
call.
I mean,
Yeah,
they had it with Bristleback last time around, but you can see this is what Faceless want to do. Like Bat Rider, Lasso, Global, whoever it is.
They had it with Nyx. No, it was the first
Bristle
game.
and mid.
Yeah. Oh, of course. No, you are
Yeah.
right. Yeah. They was Bristle both games.
Yeah.
We do see the Oracle in response to the Bat Rider, especially.
Oh.
So I know you guys talked about the Silencer and Bat Rider combo as a very strong early mid-game initiating teamfight combo, but what I like from these two heroes that they have that combo and they don't sacrifice anything from the laning stage. Like Bat Rider, dominant laner, Silencer, one of the best zoners with his glaive. So
Yeah.
something that Gabe was saying earlier is it's not just about the mid-game fights, which is what Clutch Gamer traditionally was very good at, but it's also more about the laning stage now.
Is this a region-based thing? I mean, this is again, we're all talking. Silencer Bat Rider we're seeing several times today. The third time, I want to say, in now 4 matches. Is this Southeast Asia, or is this something that you think is kind of a universal thing that these two heroes are just strong together? Because I mean, I haven't gotten the chance to watch a lot of Southeast Asia. I'm not going to lie, in preparation for this, but a lot of it, I don't know if I see this in a lot of other regions, I guess.
The duos started in the Chinese metagame, I'd say. We're seeing Silencer as a 5-position support was being spammed in China if you go back like 6 months ago, maybe. But I'd say like right now it's an SEA thing. I think what we're going to see is probably, as Lumi mentioned earlier, scrims. You see something in scrims, it works a lot. Those teams keep picking it, other teams start copying. It just seems like, and now in this qualifier, now that this is 2 games in a row, it's going to keep getting picked or something. So I think we'll keep seeing it.
I don't even know if it necessarily has to be pervasive across the meta. Even like you can just have it team specific sometimes. Like I think that right now Faceless feels very comfortable with it, and like every team kind of has their own way that they want to play still, even across these. Like you look at, you know, for instance, Miracle's team, they're going to be banning out Naga Siren, I would imagine, against them still fairly often. We didn't see it in that other one.
Last game, they banned the Naga.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
I found that funny.
But I don't think that it's necessarily that like Silencer Bat Rider is the only way to play right now. It's just that this is something that they're very comfortable with.
I would say that the speed of the game really helps out Silencer, because traditionally Silencer very strong early, mid game, but then once you go into late game, you could kind of itemize against them, whether picking up the BKB, Manta, Lincolns. But as you could see from the games that we casted so far, the game mostly is decided before that point on, where you cannot itemize against the Silencer. So if you look at this pick where Oracle on paper very good against the Bat Rider, but the realistic aspect of it, when the Bat Rider jumps in, the global comes out, and then you have Oracle standing there looking really silly. Yes, you can get a Greaves, you can get a Lotus Orb, but
you're a 5% support.
Right. Will the game get there? Which I don't think it will.
Yeah, if you're going to pick up Oracle for the idea of countering the Bat Rider in that sense, you know, why not maybe get something like an LC then, who perhaps is a little easier even, you know, with that press the attack reaction, and I guess with laning, you know, it can be a little more difficult, sure, but.
I think the other thing is maybe thinking about the laning stage. We saw Ice just like run over fools in the last game, and maybe that's what the Oracle is meant to be, is more of a way to help out that safe lane, to keep them alive. And you know, you got Fate's Edict to take off magical damage. The Purge as well takes off all the stacks, if I'm not mistaken, in the AoE. So you can stand next to 2 heroes and then get 2 for the price of 1.
Trying to think of the lineup that Faceless had last game. They did have Nyx, which they banned themselves, so they're going to pick up a Slaughter, actually. That kind of takes the place of Nyx.
That'll be the, 4th position, like you said. Jub's hero. So they can just run around, creating space, ganking a bit, and then later on takes over a lane to farm his Blink Dagger.
Is Lifestealer the 4th pick here, then? I mean, he's great with Bat Rider and Slaughter as well, and again, he was that pick last time around.
I like it. I think it works. You know, it's, again, Oracle's not going to know how to use spells if he's silenced, and you get that mix of magic and physical damage. You've got Slaughter Lifesteal, but you've also got the Bat Rider doing magic damage. I think Bristle will melt to a Slaughter Lifestealer as well, theoretically, so could work. I may want to hold off and just see what Clutch pick a bit, but I don't think. I mean, again, you're not going to get too much intel out of this Sand King pick, though. So Lifesteal seems like an alright pick. You have to reveal either your mid or your carry here.
What do you guys think of Oracle kind of coming back a little bit? Because for the longest time, in fact, I still think to this day, Nahaz posted a stat about how Oracle is the worst win percentage hero in competitive Dota 2 history. We are seeing a little bit of a comeback because of some minor buffs with the meta, whatever you want to suggest. Do you guys feel like Oracle is a strong hero, or are you almost surprised to see him?
Seems alright. Now, I think there was a period where everyone was over-picking it. I remember it was like I was at a Star Ladder or something, and every team kept picking. Every time I saw a pick, I mean, I hated the hero back then. Everyone was like, this team just lost. And then they lost like 90% of the games. Oracle just kept losing. But I think it's situational, and that's where I don't like it picked up first 2. It doesn't feel like it's justified in a first 2 pick.
I feel like that hero on paper seems like he could do everything, right? He could counter pretty much anything, but in actuality, think of like 3 situations that Oracle is actually good in draft, and honestly, truly, he's only probably good in 1 of those drafts as opposed to 3. I think people overrate how good he is fitting into this draft, and I agree with Parker completely. Like picking Oracle second just to counter Bat Rider, I don't think that's enough. I think he needs to be countering a whole bunch of heroes before you even consider Oracle.
He's also one of the, probably the highest skill cap 5 position support, incredibly hard to play. And not just for yourself, but like for your teammates, like knowing how to play around the fact that you can get magic immunity, but then you can't attack. Like sometimes you may be in a scenario where you want to put that on a carry hero, but then they can't attack. It's like there's all these like funky interactions between his spell that it takes a really good Oracle support play to use, but then also a team to understand how the spells work as well. So I think it's just a hero people aren't good at playing around.
It's almost like IO in that way.
It is exactly IO.
Yeah.
It's just that
even more complicated, I'd say.
Like IO, I think most players and teams play with more. Oracle is just so rarely picked that.
The other thing about it is I feel like in the mid-game team fights in particular, he suffers because he's got like 2 very defensive spells and then like 2 half defensive, half offensive spells. And he just doesn't provide enough in those like 5-on-5 engagements or 4-on-4 engagements. If he can keep somebody alive, it's great, but with Bat Rider and Slaughter, they're going to be able to jump him and find him. So it's going to be up to like the Sand King trying to protect the Oracle and then the Oracle trying to protect everybody else. And maybe Bristle and Viper are big enough that they can shoulder the load, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, interesting development there. Venomancer into now Viper.
Yep.
Final pick.
So they didn't fourth pick the Lifestealer, they picked Lena instead. That kind of me kind of suggested they didn't want to rush into the Lifestealer in case he gets kind of counterpicked, which to me kind of happened with Veno Viper, but they still ban it. I think the Lena with Slaughter is really good because Lena actually dishes out a lot of physical damage in the mid to late game once you start getting your talents and a couple of items, the plus 50 damage, the kind of Bloodthorn build-up we're seeing, Shadow Blades. So I think Lena actually is a really good physical damage here to pair with Slaughter.
Do they just Drow here?
Sure. It can work definitely very well. You may get run out a bit in the laning stage by a Bristle is maybe the slight concern. It's not this. It's like a risky pick, but it works. Alternatively, yeah, I don't know. Alternative. Good call, Lyrical.
Well played. So why did you like the Drow here, Lyrical?
I think it's just you've got 3 other ranged heroes. They committed heavily for like kiting people, and if you're Drow, you can kind of keep the distance away from them and running them. They don't have. I guess Veno's deep push and Sand King's good deep push, but I think they just win the lanes pretty hard now.
They definitely should. I think there's a lot of pressure on Sand King this game to help out mid, make sure Viper actually can beat the Lena, which in a straight 1v1, Lena should win, especially with Drow Aura. So I think Sand King's a better roamer than Slaughter, but going to come down to like kind of how they play it.
All right, here we go. The Oracle pick. We'll see how that works out for Clutch Gamers. Obviously a strong finish of the Viper, but call pick with a Drow there, and again, Faceless looking strong themselves. Lumi, is there a lineup that you like either way?
I think Faceless lineup seems much easier to execute. Largely a part of like Oracle is again like a very hard support to play. I think Venomancer as your carry position to me is also hard to play in the sense that your timing window is very limited. He's very strong relatively early on, but at the same time you want to close out the game early. I think a couple of players in the Summit kind of talked about that aspect. So I think Clutch Gamers draft is extremely hard to play. Not to say that they can't play it, it's just that can you play it against Faceless?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Oh, Gods, before we let you go here to get into the game, your predictions on, now that you see the drafts?
I'm going to go with Faceless, but I think I'm kind of cautiously saying I think Clutch have an ability to kind of win the lanes and snowball if they play really well with the Sand King. So, but I'll stick with Faceless.
Lyrical?
I'm going to say Faceless too. I think that if Viper gets out to a good lead, you just spam Purifying Flames on him. He takes less damage from it because of the passive and gets the full heal still. So that's their goal, but it's not going to end up happening, I don't think.
Well, they definitely got the tower advantage as well. So once again, thanks guys, but myself and Lumi into the game now for, again, both these teams 1-0, Faceless versus Clutch Gamers. Right here, with the sad trombones and applauses. Lumi, what do you think of all that? Being able to, for the spectators being able to hear that. Do you like that?
I mean, that's how Valve sells stuff, right? Players spam it, we know about it.
I like
spam it as well.
It's fun.
You think you're cool, you think you're artsy, and then they sell hats.
I've never had a game yet where it's just like over the top done. I feel like it just always adds humor and you kind of chuckle at it. So
I mean, they gave it a 30-second, or rather, like you can only spam it every 30 seconds, right? So maybe once you start casting the South America qualifiers,
oh yeah, a little change of pace there.
There you go. They will be spammed because that's the region that drops items while laning. Drops items, try to attack it and break it themselves, but cancels the attack before. You know, that's perhaps the region where might be exploited the most. But I think the interesting thing so far in the game is that Faceless avoiding, sending Ice up top. So one thing I think I mentioned earlier when I was on the couch was that when you have a Drow lineup, the opposition wants to offensive tri-lane to shut down the Drow. Drow is not very strong as a laner starting at level 1. Once you give her a couple levels, she's decent, but at minute 1, she's not very strong. So most teams tri-lane against her. It seems like Faceless is expecting the tri-lane going up against her and now dodges it. And Faceless is correct because if you look at the top of the map, a lot of heroes are congregated there for Clutch Gamers.
Yeah, that was definitely Clutch's plan. It is Clutch's plan, so we'll see how they react to this once they realize Batrider's already up here. But you got Sand King, Oracle, and the Bristleback heading towards the top lane. But Ice on that Batrider. He is flying up here, and again, didn't necessarily have vision of this, but he's going to need to play pretty defensive right here.
Well, they can first blood him very easily. This is a very standard move for fake tri-lanes who coming out here, and now the root is channeled up. This could be a kill, I think.
They're going in. Quill Spam will begin. The Pearl Strike follow up. Are the Quill Spam's going to add up enough? They should. There we go. One more, and Rappy on that Bristleback picks up the first blood, so yeah, very good execution, and clearly, you know, even though they expected the tri lane because of how they set up, he still played pretty aggressive right there going into the shop. And obviously bit him in the ass there.
I mean, in his perspective, you know, he thought that defensive tri lane was going to be the case for Clutch Gamer. You see the bristle bag, he's like, oh, 1v1 matchup. And all of a sudden.
Not the case. So, again, obviously proves to be a good start for Clutch Gamers. And now Sand King rotates to the middle lane. Trying to set up on the Lina, perhaps, with the Viper here, of course. Viper always pretty notorious for being a very, very lane dominator.
Could be a kill here.
Burrow Strike, it's going to connect. And you even have Oracle coming in with that Fortune's End. Again, it's such a strong ability for these earlier on ganks, the range and the route that it brings.
This is a very good look for Clutch Gamer because their traditional playstyle is to lose all the lanes and then just clutch it out in the lane by like getting great team fights. But who are these Clutch boys? I watched them qualify for so many of these lands, and this is generally not the way to do it. But you know, with that said, that was the old patch, and this is the new patch, and I'm glad to see that they're adapting extremely well.
Oh, you also got the fight for the bottom rune. Jams, he'll fall back, as will the rest of them. But that I want to go back to this middle now, and again, just as I was stressing about the Viper notoriously being a very strong laning hero, do you think that fits here? I mean, especially now that he's up 1-0.
Yeah, and we saw why he's actually so strong against Lina, because obviously you could trade right clicks fairly decently, but with any addition of +1, because you could orb poison attack so effectively, that +1 is always going to transition to a kill.
Well, bottom lane ends up being that try versus tri lane now. Drow for the meantime. In the meantime, though, actually had a very good start, of course. But now with them being down here, the support set may change things up a little bit. Gabby on that Venomancer, though. He's struggling, only has the one last hit currently. Ideally, that'll change now, pulling the creep wave back. The support's kind of doing that for him here. What is this about? Sand King running into Drow. It's going to fall back, though. So if you're this Drow Slaughter Silencer, how aggressive can you play into this?
I mean, if you see a support out of position, you go for the kill. But I don't think they'll be expecting a tower dive anytime soon. Especially against, you know, Venomancer, where if he gets a Gale on 2 of your heroes, that could be bad.
Well, actually, the Radiant side's going to be the one making a move. XY already getting low as the Fortune's End connects. Venomancer just putting in the auto attacks. He does have that poison sting and more than enough to finish the job, as Sand King credit for the kill right there. So great move on a Drow, and Clutch Gamers 3-0. Talk about usually a weak laning team, perhaps, Lumi. Well, they're not so weak here.
Yeah, looking pretty strong. It was very key for them to get that kill there for Clutch Gamer. Venomancer, to me, is not one of those heroes that want to have a sustained tri-lane versus tri-lane, because he is very level dependent, and again, they're going to go right on XY.
Now, Sand King's being boxed out in the meantime, so, but that might not even matter. Venom's just running at the Drow. Now he's in a bad spot, but the Crush misses him. Ooh. That's pretty clutch, because now he can just TP. No, he's not even going to go for that. He actually is still going to try to run and survive.
What?
What was that?
He's still alive?
Yeah, he is still alive. And now he's going to turn kill on a Jabs, it looks like, even, to top it all off. Oh, boy. That Venomous Scale and a double kill for Gabby. I thought for sure he was just going to TP out right there and, just be like, all right, at least I lived. But right, not only does he still live, ends up getting the turn kill. And they're going to stop Silencer on top of it all. This start, a hat trick for Gabby. Wow. Oh, my gosh. What is happening? Clutch Gamers.
Well, it ain't looking good for the Faceless boys. I mean, they do have that strong mid game where, the Ice Bat Rider could look for those kills, but you gotta keep in mind that he's gonna be going for the drums first and then the Blink Dagger, so it's gonna be a long time before Ice could impact the game in a big way like he did earlier against Mugo.
And I think this is really credit to also Oracle as a hero and his roaming presence early on, because when you think Oracle, you may not necessarily think that, but I mean, Fortune's End, especially with the changes to it and the buffs of it, and then again, Purifying Flames, it's a lot of damage. We're looking at 180 damage, even at level 2, that it does. Of course, the regen after the fact, but if you're using that to, well, finish the job or help nuke somebody down initially, strong ability. So roaming presence clearly effective from Oracle.
I would credit more not to the Oracle, but Fly Solo as a player, because to me, that his presence was a numbers advantage more so than the Purifying Flame. I think a lot of Crystal Maiden or let's say a Witch Doctor would have done pretty much the same thing
True.
in a lot of those ganks. But being at the right place at the right time, imagine like, remember mid lane when Sand King rotated the back against Lina?
Yeah.
And then it was Oracle that poured it in just to secure that kill. It's plays like those that Fly Solo is making. Bottom lane, XY.
Again, XY in trouble. Venomous Gale put up. Even has wards, not even necessarily using those, doesn't even need it. Slaughter gets here, but it's way too late. He throws out the crush, and that's it. It's only level 1, of course. Got the curse last word combo applied to Sand King, but that's just gonna harass him out. Another kill though on a Drought. Is this a time where if you're Faceless that you send Drought top?
I think that comes down to the off laner and the carry communicating. Like I think that is going to be a play.
Deny? Oh.
But it also might be one of those things that, you know, the team thinks getting a more farm Batrider is more important. So it's really up to the team. It seems like they're going to keep sending XY, keep throwing him into the lines here.
The fire, the lions, whatever you want to say. I mean, he is just being thrown into this for sure. This is an 8-0 start. This is something that we'd expect from maybe, you know, speaking of that team that qualified on the Champions Cup that we were just talking about on the break, you know, them versus Faceless, if anything, but not Clutch Gamers versus Faceless, with Clutch up 8-0 in the early start here. And it didn't even sound like necessarily that they got out-drafted either. It's just really they're playing it very aggressive, playing it very well. You do look back, I mean, without that first blood at the top lane happening, you got to wonder, you know, how that maybe set off this momentum here from the Radiant side, but it did.
Yeah.
And thus they have an early lead. Now it's still early is the key word there.
I mean, for the Faceless fans out there, you got to keep in mind, even though it's 8-0, it looks pretty bad. Clutch Gamer has to start the game like this with the draft that they have, right? You don't pick Viper to go even in the lane. You pick Viper to dominate. And you could say relatively the same for Gabby's Venomancer. So more or less expected start, given the hero that they have for Clutch Gamer, but perhaps not, you know, 8-0.
Build a Discord already in the works here for the Venom at the bottom lane. Viper is actually going to be going the hand of Midas with the start that he's having right here. So, like in the greedy route, getting such an item. You like the hand choice?
Yeah. If you could get away with the Midas, it's always a good choice.
Yeah.
I think you're asking the wrong caster whether hand of Midas is a good choice.
Fan of the greed. All right.
99% of the time, like, yep, that is a good one.
What's the 1%?
I mean, last game we saw the Tusk buying it when maybe perhaps Greaves or Blink. Because they were losing really badly, right? In that position, so.
I like how Venomancer is kind of just has the lane to himself now. They finally gave up. He's level 6 here and leveling up those wards even, so going to start pushing that tower out. You do see the positioning of Faceless. They essentially have 4 heroes up here at the top laner. Here's Batrider now. Batrider is actually trying to deal with Bristleback in the jungle. But here comes a porter from Sand King and Oracle, and now Ice once again bit off more than he could choose for half. Fortune's End used to purge actually Bristleback right there, rather than get the root effect onto Batrider. So that could be a difference maker. He gets the kill on a Bat, and he takes out Bristleback as well. Very well played by Ice.
So remember when Parker said that it's not about Oracle player knowing what his hero does, but also his teammates knowing what the hero did?
Yeah.
The Bristleback was supposed to walk right into the Batrider because when the root came on him, it would have also rooted the Batrider and would have also debuffed all the napalm. But he went away. The Bristleback went away because he was afraid. And as a result, they couldn't kill the Batrider quickly enough, and they lost 2.
Yeah.
So that precise moment was what Parker is talking about. It's a very hard hero to play for yourself and also for your team.
Well, now you have Bristleback. He's going to try to get this momentum going for Faceless right here. Not only the double kill, but he heads towards the bottom lane. He's going to find Venomancer. No lasso, though. If he has lasso, maybe. But he activates the drums, looking to chase after a little bit, trying to also take out some of the stack at least. Veno, though, would like to kill it himself, so a little bit of back and forth right there. But, yeah, he's going to need to be that momentum here. We mentioned the last game how he was the MVP, and like I said already with this behind start, definitely going to need that from him with the drums purchase. Blink Dagger is still going to be a little away, though, in this game. But, yeah, they don't have the Lifestealer combination, though. So is that going to make it a little harder, would you say, for him to be overall very useful with these ganks?
Hold that thought here. He might be.
Well, yeah, they do have Venom coming over, don't they? So Lasso actually going to be used instead. He's like, all right, Sand King, you want to fight? Let's play. Burning him down. He'll survive. But, oh, Viper trying to get close enough.
To answer your question, I think instead of XY participating in these ganks, it's more so Black has to do so instead. Because what XY did in those Lifestealer Infest Bomb ganks is that it gave them the quick kill with the immediate lasso. And I think Lina's Laguna Blade could do a pretty good imitation of that. And then, you know, in turn, it's going to free up XY to be farming on the Drow Ranger instead.
Yeah. I see right there. Venomancer trying to use the Invis rune to get positioning onto somebody creeping up, but Slaughter especially sits back in the tower. Either they saw him pick that up or they clearly felt something up, so he stays safe. But the Villa Discord is just about finished now. And going back to the Lina, I mean, she is farming very well. 4,500 net worth for her against this Viper, who is topping the charts at 5,000 net worth. The Hand of Might is finished on him. These stacked Ancients, though, being done by Rappy, meanwhile, on Bristleback. I'll look to finish that Vanguard, of course, as both teams get a tower kill in the process.
So now that I thought a little bit more about your question earlier, like instead of having the Life Slayer, you have the Lina as the bursty pair to the Batrider. Which one's better? I think in this particular game, Lina might be better because the ideal target you want to be last lane is probably Gabby anyways. And when you're initiating on the Venomancer, you better be damn sure you can kill him fast, because if you don't, he drops off his Veil, he drops off his ult, and your team's in trouble. Yeah. So I think Lina in particular, being able to actually just like go through his HP, because he's not exactly the tankiest of hero, the Venomancer. The Laguna Blade could clean up quite easily.
Well, you saw right there, they put some pressure on the middle tier 1 tower and ultimately get it fairly low, but not able to finish the job. But yeah, Faceless.
Rappy in the jungle.
Oh yeah, he is trying to steal some of these Ancients now, or if anything, harass out Bristleback. Yeah, so he'll get him to fall back towards that middle lane and still trying to get a little bit closer to that Vanguard. 700 gold saved up, only the Vitality booster needed, but Ice keeping up his own farm meanwhile, and the Blink Dagger again, about 1,000 gold almost saved up on him. So making progress towards it. Speaking of that, Sand King also trying to get his own. Tranquil first with a magic stick thrown in and some of those raindrops. 900 gold saved up for him, but he could be in some trouble right here. Corrosive Haze is applied. Even Drow's running over the Gust into the Flame Break backwards, into the Crush. Equals easy kill? Yeah. Boombacks, you're not getting out of that one.
So Breaky, last game when I was talking about Ice, I said he's one of the best offlane players because he could distinguish when to go in and when to, just back off. But also, I want to point out that most other Batriders, when they're farming for the Blink Dagger, they do it very defensively in their own jungle. Just get out of everyone's way, clean up a stack or two. But look at what he's doing right now. He is farming the Blink Dagger in the enemy jungle. Yeah. Like, even though he hasn't had his Blink, he's making huge game impact. Remember earlier he was in the jungle forcing like 3-man rotations? That's the difference. Other off lanes farm it passively, he farms it aggressively, sets up kills while doing so. Yeah. And that takes a lot of skill to do.
Well, again, it was a very big start for Clutch Gamers, but since then he's been involved of all 3 of the kills. In fact, 2, 2, and 1 right here for his team, and looking to be involved in a 4th Flame Break. Push back right there, but Sand King was nearby. He did not expect that. Epicenter at least will be stopped, however. They are going to get the kill nonetheless on a Batrider. And so they get the last laugh in the end. Black had to fall back. He chose not to commit towards any kind of fight right there. The last thing he wants to do is also get caught, of course, in the process. So that's a big kill, though, for Clutch Gamers, because as we're just stressing, obviously Ice is the one that's doing very well, working on that Blink, and now you kind of keep him in check a little bit as well. Going to put down some wards and push this middle tier 1 with the invulnerability popped, but don't think they're defending this in the end.
No, they are not. Interestingly, Gabby has a Playmail queued up on his Venomancer. Now, I haven't been watching the recent hype that is the Venomancer carry. I don't think this is the standard item of choice, though.
No, it's definitely not, I would say. I mean, I think there's kind of just a couple of directions that you can go on, right? Like, if anything, maybe something into the Guardian Greaves and into eventual Ags even.
Right.
Or more of that right-click style, but Blade Mail is definitely not one that I'm familiar with either.
This looks to be more of like a suicidal move where it's like, hey, you could go on me, but I'm going to have Blade Mail popped. I'm going to just ult your whole team and veil you. All right, you got me. Good job. Yeah. And now half your team is dead. So it is a very interesting way of playing it. We'll see what he completes it, though.
Bottom lane, Sand King, the Blink Dagger appearing on a Jabs right here and making use of it very quickly. So nice kill on a Sand King. And Drow's somebody we can't forget about. XY, he's done a decent job as far as recovering. He's only 5th in the game right now, but obviously was struggling early on, had all those deaths that he's working off of, the 3 to be exact. But now he's farming up the Radiant Jungle, and a Dragon Lance on him. It's actually almost finished. But yeah, that Blink on Slaughter is pretty clutch. Good at this timing right now.
Yeah. I mean, last game we talked about Jabs being able to go for the Hanamitis early on his Nyx Assassin because his team is doing so well. This time around, you know, complete opposite situation. He needs to pick up the slack, and he has been. So, well done here by Jabs.
There's Bristleback finishing the Hood of Defiance and leading the way throughout his own jungle. Drell's pushing out bottom lane. That definitely could be a target that you want to aim for. As Oracle's making his way to try to get a good Fortune's End off. But speaking of Oracle, he's had False Promise now for a little bit. Hasn't had to use it yet. Obviously, other than these individual ganks.
That's a good sign if you don't need to use False Promise.
That's fair.
Yeah. But what a difference kind of between the two Silencer game, right? Last time, I think Nuts at this point had like, I don't know, 18, 20 stolen int. This time, 2. It's very, very different pacing of the game. Faceless has, you know, been struggling very hard. And finally, the Batrider Blink comes online, so get a smoke. Time to ride the Batrider train. Let's go.
Well, Oracle going middle lane with the Bristleback right here. Lena is going to mistime this stun, unfortunately. She was expecting that to be the first one, it seems like, and ended up being the second one coming in. So as a result, they kind of fall back from one another. But yeah, the Blink on a Batrider. He's already lining up, hoping somebody pokes out here at the top lane. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, though. But yeah, when you really look at the theme of this Radiant lineup, it is a very, we're going to kill you, but kill you slowly and painfully. You know, between Viper, between Veno, between Bristle. Obviously with the Quill charges adding up, the Poison Ticks kicking in over time. So it's going to be the objective here. Bristle's pushing out top, and it seems like that the Tire's not interested in that target. With Viper nearby.
I guess the other theme of this Clutch Gamer lineup is very slow and immobile. Like, for them to actually get any objective, they have to, like, you know, set up tent and camp in front of the building for a couple of wards. They don't do anything particularly fast.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is something that Faceless could take advantage of, whether it's through just ratting or just doing a very big wraparound play by setting up a smoke. It seems like so far they're going to just look for the trade, or no, are they going for his Roche sneak? These 3 heroes are running a very awkward spot for Faceless.
Yeah, they are going to check the Roshan pit, but definitely not going to be going for it, it seems like. And, I mean, they see them, a couple of heroes pushing out the top lane, so they seem a little indecisive. They're like expecting somebody to come back to the middle lane maybe to defend this, as the Precision Aura was used there by Drow. But as we see, that's not necessarily the case, and they're losing a tier 2 in the meantime, so not a trade you necessarily want to be taking here.
Oh, nice. Going on Fly Solo channels a Dispel on himself.
Oh, no, he goes back in, actually. He wants a kill out of this. He's keeping them busy, and Slaughter follows it up. The kill out of Sand King, so he couldn't get the initial target, but he bought the time for his teammates to come on over, including the Slaughter. And at least he gets something there.
That was a very interesting exchange, right? Like, he went on the Oracle, Fly Solo got scared, and then just, like, ran away. And then recognizing that, it's like, oh, Fly Solo's not here. Okay, let's go on now. Because if Fly Solo was there with a False Promise, that was not the kill that you could have gone for.
True. That goes back to, you mentioned we haven't seen him use that yet. Now, granted, it's mainly been because he hasn't had the opportunity here, which is good, as you put it. But in that case right there, if he is close enough, would have loved to use it. Good heads up from the off-lane player, Faceless. Blade Mill has been finished by Gabby, so we'll see what kind of use he's able to make with that.
Yep.
But again, is that really an item that's like, okay, let's charge in now, let's really force the issue? That kind of goes back to your point of it's still a kind of a slowly getting the job done team.
Yeah. I don't know. I would have been much happier with a mech or Hanamitis, like something that either gives them huge immediate impact through push or more long-term economic impact with Midas. You could push with the Blade Mail as well. He could put himself in a very like frontal position. Although I feel like Viper also does the same thing. Bottom.
Global Science, they really want this kill. Laguna Blade going to be coming out as well. Is he tanky enough,
So
though? It
tanky.
looks like the level 4 corrosive skin. Noda helping a Viper Strike, trying to help him buy time, but it does not. And a great decision by Jazz to port out immediately. Nuts also doing the same with Black, and they're both going to get out. The lack of crowd control here between Bristol and Veno is real.
TP is their bane because the only person that could cancel TP is Toonbacks, who did not have his Blink Dagger there. It just got delivered. If that Blink Dagger came, like, I don't know, 5 seconds sooner, they get 2 kills.
Yeah, really unfortunate right there, and that is a weak point, clearly, of this Radiant side. Another one at that, so despite this early lead for Clutch, it does seem to feel like that Faceless, and they're technically not in the lead with Network just yet, but it seems like that this is a game that's really shifting in their favor.
Boombacks?
And Boombacks, oh, he just blinked too. Yeah, Lasso's going to catch in. There's a corrosive haze, and you see that damage output come out, so he's dead again.
So Clutch Gamers started this game 8-0.
Yep.
They're now leading 2 kills, and they're down in net worth. To me, this is a sign of a really strong team in the sense of Faceless. Like, being able to take that on the chin.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he couldn't really TP out. It's on cooldown, but I was watching that the whole time. He had just killed Veno, and the dots just kept ticking, and eventually wore him down. It was 1 tick away from actually not killing him. He could have denied himself, so I was actually curious if he was going to do that, but chose not to.
Is there any reason not to deny yourself?
If you don't think you're going to die, obviously.
I guess so.
That's the other thing.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah, because like I said, it was very close.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does die to it, so yeah, he's back up now. Down to 9 seconds though, so yeah, he got the pick beforehand. Yeah, dying shortly after. Goes right back to the bottom lane though, because of the quick resurrection. You got the movement here coming out from Clutch Gamers, but yeah, to the point that you're making, I mean, even with that kill thrown in, it's still a 1,000 lead for Faceless now, and you take a look at the net worth graph as usual. It's doing a good job of describing how this game is working.
Scan checks out the fact that Roshan has been started.
Apparently CG needs a pause here. It's going to have a reconnect from Venomancer. Knock on wood, but we've been good with this so far today, which has been nice. This is the first pause I want to say we've had.
Wait till you get to China. A perfect world, dude.
I ain't casting China this time around, so I'm good with that, but no. Chinese region, just really like most regions, is going to be very entertaining to see how it all shapes up. But again, this is the beginning here of these regional qualifiers, and I know that we're really focusing on Southeast Asia ourselves, but I know you're on the same boat as me, of curious about specific other regions too, and just how it all plays out for these for this event. It's just crazy to think to me that $20 million prize pool plus, man, on the line and for this event, and obviously just even getting there guarantees you a good chunk
rather
of
large
change.
amount, yes.
Yeah. So 3 of these teams, in case of Southeast Asia, is getting there, and 2 of the 3 right here are definitely potential.
Well, the difference is that this time around, when you get to Seattle, you're guaranteed to play. Because the previous years, you had this wild card things where, you know, teams are flown there, and then 3 of those teams are disappointed for the next 2 weeks because you're there, but you're not really there.
Yeah, it's that fine line. It's like you got flown out to hang out at this event and everything.
Yeah,
it's
I like
like
this
cool,
more.
but
yeah, it's less cruel to the to the teams that are just in the wild card, but not really.
It's been fun to see Valve develop with that, and you know, again, there's still things that could be enhanced with, sure, but they've done a great job of at making the changes that feels almost necessary. And I know a lot of people were almost maybe worried that it was going to be a single elimination event too because of the majors and how they were, but on top of that, they announced that it's going to be double elimination, you know, with that round robin of 18 teams, 9 in each group. So
I wonder if like the majors are single elimination because time constraints, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the argument that I guess.
Because you could do 2 weeks for TI, and people will watch 2 weeks for TI.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure if people would do that for
you would think that is. I do feel like that part of it is they kind of just also wanted to try it. Like,
sure.
I think that is definitely a big, and if it was received better, then they probably would have ran it at the international. I could have seen that because there is that.
What do you think about it? Do you like it?
What I've always said about it, I like the value that it brings as a spectator in terms of this. There are no second chances, right? And for me, as somebody that watches a lot of traditional sports, that's how it really works. And frankly, most traditional sports is that you have the regular season, or in this case, the group stages, that then seeds you into a playoff bracket where then it's single elimination. There's no second chances there. So I liked it from that perspective, but I'm definitely not against double elimination. I do think that there's great value there too, and it definitely makes for a dramatic event itself.
I think judging from TI Pass, I feel like you could really tell teams that were gonna win it, perhaps like day 2 or day 3 in the event, because you just know like one team is just playing better. TI3 Alliance was like that. They were just vastly better. Wings on point and TI6 looked like they were just invincible at times. So And in that sense, I'm not sure whether it matters at all if it's double elimination or single elimination.
True.
Because those teams are just on fire. But closer TI is.
It's like you do got to think, right? Though at the same time, because you think Kiev Major just most recently. What if that event was double elimination? How do things change? Does Secret really get knocked out in that first round, and that's it for them, right? So there's again all that hindsight, the what if game. But anyways, great discussion we just had right there. But we got a game now resuming, as it looks like he is back, and they are not going to secure the Rochelle. They're kind of acting like they're worried somebody's coming in, and they'd be right. Bat Rider. He's at least checking it out. The Burrow Strike connects, so he's on the other side of the cliff, however. The easiest to catch, and this should be the Rochelle.
Well, here's the thing, right? Normally you get Aegis, your hip hooray. They lose 2 tier 2 towers. They get their tier 3 significantly damaged on the bottom side. That's a Pyrrhic victory.
Yeah. Yeah, you can most certainly argue that. Bristleback. Oh, no, I thought Bristleback, but that was Viper. That's right. Picks up the Aegis there as well. But yeah, even the top lane, actually. Boombox there.
Wait, how did a Drow solo kill a...
He must have been somewhat low.
I guess he got silenced. That's... Oh, Shadowblade. Shadowblade silence kill.
Okay.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, so has that Shadowblade now, and the Silver Edge is actually queued up. In fact, he almost has it. He really almost has that Silver Edge, and of course against the Bristleback, and I guess even against Viper, that's actually pretty good as well. So it's going to be a great pick to have. And do you get... Bots are coming for Lena, but she has a Shadowblade too. Does she also get a Silver Edge, you think? Is that something that's priority, or?
I don't think it's a priority, especially now that Drow Ranger is working towards it. I think the bots in conjunction with the Bloodstone is very strong, right? Where you die in a fight, you wait 10 seconds, you're right back in it. I think that aspect is perhaps even stronger.
Yeah. Slaughter, E-ports out, Jabs. Continues to be that sneaky 4-position player. We saw the Knicks in the last game. And he gets away this time, keeps them occupied. The 4 heroes in that case down there, and Drow's put in the top lane. So they're doing a bit of the rat game now, and really keeping Clutch Gamers on their toes as far as where to go. Black, he is going to be fine because the Burrow Strike misses.
Yep, and that's their only stun, so he is really fine.
Yep. He just runs away, and now Bristleback's had enough of this. He ports to the middle, and just going to farm up this creep wave. Trying to finish the Solar Crest, in fact, has enough gold for it.
This nice. Particular playstyle that Faceless is doing right now is very infuriating for Clutch Gamer, because once you picked up the Aegis, especially on a hero like Viper, all you want to do is group up as 5 and barrel down lane, take some objectives. But they can't, because all of this rat, all of this split push, the waves are all constantly being pushed in. And like I mentioned many times now, Clutch Gamer's catch is just terrible. Like, they have Sand King, but Boombax has not been on point with his Burrow Strike. So they can't get anything done, and it would not surprise me at all if this Aegis gets completely unused. And they gave it, what, 2 tier 2 towers and half HP on the tier 3 to get this Aegis?
Yeah. And I think that, not to put it all on Venomancer by any means, but I do think you kind of look at that Blade Mail. It's one of those items that, as you said, that's an item you almost expect to be fighting with, and you're getting that in almost a reaction, if anything. But that really wasn't the case for a bit right there, and that's not an item that's also going to encourage that theme. Now, he has a 4-staff into eventual Hurricane Pike, which definitely will start encouraging that a bit more, but the timing of said push idea where maybe they had that lead has kind of gone down a little bit. So,
well, trust me, Gabby wants to fight. Like, he got the blame out for the fight. It's just that Faceless is not taking the fight to them, or at least not a 5-man, 5v5. They're just like surgically guerrilla style, extracting kills, extracting value out of the enemy jungle. And this is where, going back to the item discussion on Blade Mail that we had about 10 minutes ago, is like perhaps Midas. Like, if Gabby had a Midas, I would be a lot less worried for Clutch Gamer right now. Be like, okay, well, you're not getting the fight, you're not getting the value of the Aegis that you just got, but you got double Midas running, you can feasibly go into the mid and late game very comfortably. But he doesn't have the Midas.
Yep.
So I am very worried about Clutch Gamers.
XY, the Silver Edge finish. He also has the BKB that he's working on. He's going to get back from the top lane, though. And farm in the jungle a little bit, because that's being pushed out by Viper. Meanwhile, he's trying to finish his own Maelstrom to come right here. Jabs is sitting up at the top. He has a 4-staff now to go along nicely with the blink. And, of course, lack of Heartstone crowd control being there. But they do have a lot of slow, but, things like a 4-staff is going to be good for such item. Eventual Lotus Orb might not be a bad idea either. Faceless over here. Sand King, he's hunting, but goes back to the same story that we keep talking about of they really can't find the option here. Ice, Ice, Ice. He's going to just say hello a little bit, pull the creep wave, and farm it, do this aggressive farming, and then he blinks away before they could even jump him. So this has to be a very, very frustrating game right now for Clutch Gamers, especially after the start and all that momentum they had. But you really got to keep going back to this draft, and the lack of hard CC is what really is hurting them here.
Yep. Something that I mentioned during the end of the draft is that Clutch Gamer has a lineup that's very hard to play. And one aspect of that is the timing of the Venomancer. You do great, you won your lane, you got a bunch of kills, but you need to close out the game relatively soon because Venomancer is not a hero that scales, you know, to like, let's say a Queen of Pain would or like, you know, a Sven would. So the fact that he's like ancienting right now instead of like barreling down mid is a huge problem for Clutch Gamer.
Trow living at this top lane. Meanwhile, the BKB just about finished.
Oh, looks like they might catch the Batrider bottom, I think.
Well, no.
No, they won't.
Well, maybe Oracle trying to get up. No. Yeah, just TP's out. He just blinks into their base and TP's away while distracting 4 heroes. Just Ice, Ice, Ice things.
Sorry, I cut you off. You were saying Drow was doing some stuff.
Oh, yeah, nothing important.
Nothing important.
Just doing my usual, you know, making observations here. The BKB really is coming along with that pattern purchase just around the corner now. So, and that feels like that's going to be an item that, I mean, I guess they're not really in a hurry, though, as Faceless. Keep going back to that idea, too. It's not like he gets BKB and they feel like the need to, you know, push or really try to get that tier 3 tower. Unless you feel differently.
No, I don't think so. I mean, their hero scales very nicely. Drow Ranger has a lot of room to grow. I mean, you got to keep in mind they have a Slaughter as a 4 position, right? Like, him getting 18 is quite big. Ice, Ice, Ice has a lot of room to grow item-wise. Silencer, same thing there. So, yeah, I think Faceless is sitting extremely content.
So there are items that could make up for the lack of crowd control, kinda. You know, things like Rod of Atos, a little cheaper version comes to mind, and then eventual things like Scythe, but can you even see such items coming out on any of these heroes?
Yes, but not anytime soon, right? That's,
yeah.
That's the problem. Glyph gets forced out here by Lina on the bottom side. A solo Lina gets to play in a spot like this is, again, just a huge disrespect to Clutch Gamers. Like, hey, I'm here, I'm in front of your tier 3, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Obviously finishing that Silver Edge herself as well a little bit ago. So they have a couple of those now, and we honestly haven't even seen the break effect yet, but that goes back to the very passive game that this has turned into after what was a very intense battle, or very action-packed game even at the beginning. And the 8-0 start for Clutch Gamers, and since then it's 3-9, and that was 20 minutes ago, it felt like, when that shifted. So we got Viper. He's leading the way. We could finally see a little bit of action right here. Black double damage room, pops the Silver Edge.
Where's the Sand King?
Sand King is way back there. The open on a Viper. The Silver Edge break comes out. Sauter with the corrosive haze, that is. And that's a dead Viper for 60 seconds. Global Silence, no doubt working. He just nukes down the freaking Oracle. The false promise, still haven't seen it go off yet that time because she was just locked in silence and then killed shortly after. Batrider's going to get caught a little bit too deep right there, but Bristleback will end up falling because of it. So 3-for-1, and they want to make it 4-for-1. Venomancer, he's going to get caught. He's like, all right, feel my Poison Nova as a result. The Blade Mill's up. Yeah, you got to be careful if you're Black. And actually, the Epicenter counter, Black made a falling right here. He actually suicides instead. Figures he's dead anyways, and Venomancer will go down to the base as they get the kill on a Sand King. So it's a complete wipe.
Hey, that Bloodstone getting the tech of, hey, I ate a Veno ult for my team, and I healed them back up, no problem. And I think Faceless with 5 dead gets to now push the bottom side with the tower extremely low. The funny thing for that fight for me was that there was a double damage on Lina, and when Fly Solo got hit, it looked like he got Laguna Blade twice, just with the auto attacks. He got chunked.
Yeah, you got to wonder if he gets that false promise off on Viper, if that fight maybe is a little bit different, but probably not. I mean, he was... They had damage across the board to definitely kill that supporting cast, as you mentioned right there anyway. So they make it happen, the complete wipeout, and then they also get the bottom melee racks. They don't get the range racks, but, well, actually, almost does tie right there to the Ballista. Unfortunately, one auto attack away. So it remains alive, but they got the main objective there in the melee as well as a tier 3, and that opens up shrines, which Drow will immediately take advantage of.
Also, it was very nice timed in the sense that Roshan is about to spawn, and I like to see Faceless to take that Aegis and basically just put the stamp on this game once they do have it. Batrider most likely will scout it out the next time he's near the area. He's also got the gem now, something I pointed out that Faceless could have done a little bit better last game to shut down the vision.
Nice top lane. Him and Sand King having a bit of a stare off. Who's going to do something first here? And neither side's going to be able to get the other just yet. Although Batrider's flying around, and he's just going to go for the creep wave, and Sand King will TP out instead. So no catch to happen there, but Clutch Gamers, of course, finding themselves in a spot of farming together. Viper was farming the Ancients, but they actually smoke up. I don't think they were on any war. No, it doesn't look like it, so they, oof.
Oh my goodness. Japs has an Invis room, breaks the whole smoke movement.
Yep.
That was almost their last Hail Mary. They needed to smoke out, find like 2 kills, and get the Roshan to basically not die in this game.
Well, now you have Faceless doing similar themselves, but don't know if they're going to run into them. They're actually going towards the bottom lane. Instead, they figure somebody's going to go farm that bottom lane. Doesn't look like they're going to be right now. Well, somebody TP's back, and actually, yeah, they think twice of it, better of it even, and they go back into the Roshan pit.
That range Rex, no. 22 HP bottom.
Yep.
It's going to be gone. Unless they run to his rescue, which, I mean, they forfeit the Roshan to do so.
Yep.
Either way, Faceless happy with the outcome.
And there's that Roshan. So Cheese drops. Cheese picked up by Drought. Lina picks up the Aegis. Is there either way there that you think is better, or does Lina make sense with the Aegis?
Yeah, I think it's all fine.
Not really a question mark there. Heaven's Halberd trying to be finished by Bristleback to go with that Solar Crest. Talking about that item earlier. Viper, an Assault Curios, attempting to be finished as well. So it just seems like it continues to be a trend, though, of these items coming up a little later than they would have liked it. On a Clutch Gamer side, unfortunately. And this Drow now has, well, she got the BKB, I guess, full 10 seconds on that. I feel like she's bought something else, though, right? There's something. Oh, that is her Hurricane Pike. There we go. Yeah, it's coming out as well. So a lot more damage, survivability kicking in. The Shrine up the top lane. They're going to go kill that probably. Getting objectives done right here. So CG just moving as a team. You know, really, again, what more can they do? I really hope for Oracle's sake he's at least able to use False Promise once. That actually does something.
Yeah. And, you know, this is why Nahaz always say this is the lowest win rate hero. It's so hard to find a good situation.
Yeah. Take out the tier 2 right there. Easy for Black. And only 8 Bloodstone charges, but overall it's been pretty good use of them. The first one was to solo kill the Veno earlier on in the game, and then the second one to really set up winning that team fight there, getting the full genocide. And he's just keeping that distance there. I love that 150 attack range talent.
Is the genocide the sound that they play for a 5 kill in
Han? Yeah.
I'm just wondering. I've never played Han, but I do recall seeing or hearing something like that.
Go back to those terms every once in a while. I mean, they're just not jumping in, but I guess they can't. It's like it's that awkward spot of we don't want to. He has the Aegis. We know we'll get countered.
I mean, who's jumping him? You have a Sand King.
That's true.
And that's it. If you do jump him, then your whole team has to commit, and then you're just setting yourself prime for a global, for a Black Lasso, for a slaughter. Like, to me, at this point of the game, it just truly shows the weakness of this particular lineup. This is not the place that Clutch Gamer envisioned themselves to be in.
Especially at a time when they were up 8-0 in that early game again. Batrider, he's had enough waiting around, picks up Venomancer, and brings it right into the midst of everybody. And there's the false promise. It will save him with the Shrine use as well. That's going to be interesting to see. Does he live through this? Yeah, double Shrine. Yeah, he should definitely live.
All right, 4 HP.
All right, 2 Shrines used.
And Global is down, so I guess Faceless just backs off for a bit. Here's the thing, like, they just kind of messed up, or not messed up, but they couldn't get the kill that they went for. but they don't pay for it, you know? They don't lose anything.
Global Science is really the only thing, as you mentioned, but it's up at 95 seconds. Again, no hurry here. They're just going to be patient about it, spread out, get more farm elsewhere. The only one really farming on this Radiant side right now is Viper. A little bit of Venomancer. The AC, though, is that really going to change much as we keep going back to Venomancer? The Ags is actually almost finished on Veno, and that could be pretty nice to have as well. Just a lot more damage output in the midst of a team fight. If and when it does happen. Top lane, oof. Yeah, Slaughter's thinking about it. He's pinging out like crazy. Batrider wants to as well. There we go. The Fortune's End comes out. I don't know if it really did a whole bunch in the end, though, as Oracle goes down. The Viper Strike actually using a silencer. That's a support silencer. Gets the pick, but at what cost now for Viper? In a horrible spot, as Bristleback also in the midst of that, too. But they're going to focus on that Viper. Get the easy kill, and not often you say that on him, though, first. And now Bristleback, nice flame break. Push back with a good play, but he has his back turn, so he doesn't really feel it too much. But it will set up the eventual kill, and that's the beginning of the end here now.
That is the end, and that was the genocide.
A rampage for Black.
Okay, Viper bites back, takes some of it, but that's
he wanted to feed some stats then.
So, I'm not sure what about that final move out. They moved out as a group of 3 unit. They had absolutely no vision outside their base.
Yeah.
I mean, Global was down, so they were expecting perhaps they could find a Faceless straggler, but as Face has shown there, they don't need Global to actually win a team fight because they're so vastly ahead. The worst part about that team fight was that Sand King got caught out. He was, I think, the 2nd person to die there. And as I talked about 2,500 times now, without the Sand King, the team is nothing.
I think a bit of that goes back, too, as well, to kind of answer that question of how much do you slam your head against that door, right? You know, this is a long group stages. Yes, it's an important matchup, but we were stressed for a while there, and they could feel it, I'm sure, that game was getting to a point where it was pretty much over. Trying to make one last-ditch effort that was crazy in itself. It did not work expectedly, and thus Faceless takes it, and they are looking strong, again, as expected. But this one could have gone either way, definitely. Clutch Gamers had the 8-0 start. Not to be in the end, though. Faceless takes it. They're up. They're 2-0 now, that is, in the round robin, and Clutch falls to 1-1. Well, guys, we got our next match going to be coming up, just confirming right here. Shortly, it is going to be TNC versus Geek Fam. Next one there, so that should be a lot of fun. But Lumi, appreciate joining me here for this one.
Thanks for having me. It was very fun.
Gonna have Gods coming on the next one, I think. So
I thought Clutch Gamer was going to do a little bit better. It looked really good early on, but
it did.
It got lumped.
It did. Well, we got more coverage coming up. We got our 5th game here of the night, and still many, many more to come. Stay tuned, guys. Coverage continues coming up next.